Welcome back. You're watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime. We are on the tail end of the program right now. And if you picked up the Sunday Standard, that is, this is what actually was headlining the front page of the Standard on Sunday. Raila's big dilemma as Azimio implodes. Jubilee and ODM come out guns blazing after Uhuru Kenyatta's allies declare they are done. They're done and dusted with Raila Odinga, even as President Ruto's alliance stokes the fire. Will Azimio withstand the storm? That was the probing question there on the front page of the Standard. And looking at today's editorial cartoon in the Daily Nation, this is what you have today. You can see they've severed the ties already. And on one side we have, that is on page 16, let me just verify, of the Daily Nation there, the editorial page. And we can see the other piece is going to the Kenya Kwanza. So what does it really portend for Azimio as it is? Why the implosion and what is really causing the implosion? Talking about mistrust, is that what is playing out within Azimio? Why is Jubilee not satisfied with what is happening in Azimio right now? Dr. Nyikal, we can begin with you.
Well, I don't think that Azimio is falling apart. What happens is that when you are in a coalition, when you are in a party, when you are in an organization, then you have an objective, you are fighting, and in politics, people are fighting for power. You will find amongst you there are people who are not standing by what would say the principles and the ideologies of the party. They were looking at the party or the coalition as a vehicle to meet, to take them where they want to be. So if then you don't get to power, then they're now looking for another party or another vehicle that will take them to where they are. And those people are always there. The core of the people who believe in what the coalition stands for will remain. So those people trying to go away or after something like committees in the House, some people feel disgruntled now, they want to go away. Now, that only tells you what I've said. So in my mind, the core people who believe in Azimio will always be there. The few that are trying to look for other vehicles to take them where they wanted to go, different from what the party stands for, they'll always go. But I'll say this. People who are in opposition, let me put it that way now, and now seek to join the governing coalition are unpatriotic. Because opposition is a very important element of democracy. All governments, all institutions need to be put to check. So that if you then abandon your position and all move the other side, you are creating a dictatorship. You are creating a system that will not be checked. So I think the first thing people should know is that when you are doing that and you get to the other side, you remember you are going there as an underdog. I mean, if you now want to eat where you found people eating, you must get the smallest, any small table you are given, you must take. If you remain this side...
Is that the mentality?
That is how it works in life. Whether politics or not, that's how it works in life. Yeah, my position is, if we remain, this is let's say Nyikal now, I'm not now probably talking as Mio statement, I'm not making a statement as Mio. We, as Mio, should remain strong and solid as an opposition and check the Kenya Kwanza, so that when things go wrong, the country or the people have somebody who can raise the issue. It's not that we'll always be hostile.
But how will you achieve that, even when we have the sentiments from the Secretary General of Jubilee Party himself, Jeremiah Kioni, who is saying that, Jubilee is the second largest party within Azimio.
Yeah, but you see...
But for reasons known to ODM and Wiper, and you are the deputy party leader of Wiper here. I don't know what reasons between you and ODM, have decided to treat us like outsiders.
No, well, the case with Jeremiah Kioni, I haven't talked to him as a friend of mine, and I know he worked very hard. But he also wanted to be in Yala, and it didn't happen. But
his name was fronted at Yala, isn't it?
I don't know whether that is the origin or maybe he's feeling differently. But if you look at it, the broader Jubilee, Kanini Kega, who was in Jubilee, went in. So really, we must look at issues. I think sometimes the press also... But
he's speaking here as a Secretary General, not really a person who's feeling short-changed within the
Sometimes you must learn to distinguish when somebody... I told you just here that sometimes I'll make a statement that is Nikal's view. Now you can't then say that's Azimio. Even if you are a secretary, sometimes you may be taking your own statements. I would only hold it like that if there was a meeting of Jubilee and the resolution that was passed, it's now being read by the Secretary General. Then I would say, but something is not right.
Could we peel back and find the genesis of this problem that is making Azimio implode right now? It is all emanating from, some of these committees, figureheads that were fronted, first of all, and they feel should change. We've not really heard from Jeremiah Kioni himself. Also, we've heard from Sabina Chege.
Even Sarah correct.
Yes, yeah, even Sarah here. We correct. That has been the same. It seems there's a problem within Azimio, and largely.
But let me ask. If holding seats or committees is what keeps you in an organization, then really that's not available. I would say, what about me? I mean, I'm not in any committee. I'm not in Iyala.
No, what they're simply asking is
what I'm
saying,
saying, individuals that are feeling disgruntled must be understood in the context that there's a place we are going to a journey, we were very many in the bus, we do not know whether all of us in the bus were actually carrying the same ideology or people were going to different journeys.
Thank you.
And if the vehicle has not reached, they are coming out to look for another vehicle. Me, that's how I see it.
So what sort of intermediary sort of mechanism do we have within Azimio to try and solve this issue? Because if they feel frustrated and it seems you're not even holding any meeting, we've not heard from the chairman himself, who is Uhuru Kenyatta, calling at least should we say, we wonder, do we call it a parliamentary group? Because it's not really a parliamentary, it's not a PG. It's only Raila Odinga who is running, so we have different parties within Azimio. It's a party. This is where we fail to understand.
We have met as Azimio. I told you that. Was it Masai Lodge? I think Honorable was there. There was a meeting when we went to in Machakos. We also had an.
Did you discuss these issues?
No, that time these issues were there. Though these issues have
just what was the meeting for?
That was an ordinary PG like we also did.
Wait.
Okay.
I'm sure that now these issues have come. Definitely, there's going to be some Azimio meeting that will look at them. When you see something today, you don't expect that the following day. I'm sure at a certain level, there are people looking at them and they'll come up.
But let me hear from Farah. You have to be realistic. This is not just exploding on you today. That you just see today, there'll be a meeting tomorrow. It's been simmering. And it's been simmering. There's been frustrations.
Can I tell
so
you something?
This should have actually been dealt with before now. We have also hands being proffered from the other side by the Deputy President reaching out to Sabina Chege, will put a lot of fertilizer around you. So if you had that particular statement...
Not only that. I mean, if you are hunting or you are looking to catch chicken, you must throw maize around. Some will take.
You allow the maize to be thrown around. Huh? Let's hear from Farah.
Yeah. Let me.
There's a maize shortage in the country.
Let me now. Let me now explain. Let me explain what I think is happening in our coalition. I think we're not only imploding, but my honest assessment is within a very short period of time, there'll be very little left of Azimio. Very little left of Azimio. Because a party and the leadership of a party cannot sustain that following without serious sacrifices being made by the leadership itself. How do you explain a whole secretary general of a party who is out of his seat because he joined with Azimio? If he had gone to Kenya Kwanza, Kioni would be in parliament today. Kanini Kega would be in parliament today. All these mountain region folks who have been demolished were demolished because of the party wave. And they knew. Now, you need to seriously be out there to sacrifice as much as possible for such people. And then Kioni gets 19 votes at the end of it. Even if we had given him all our support as Azimio, he would have had, if this man lost and got 120, got 80, got 90, then he would say, I went down fighting and my friends were standing by me. How do you explain the Secretary General of Jubilee, who brought his own party there, who paid the ultimate political price to support Raila Odinga for the presidency, ending up the 19 votes when we have about 100 plus, what we call ODM members there? Which means people were whipped in a different direction. And what is the exact thing that informed that decision? This is, I'm asked a lot of times, why do you stick in there? I said, just because we've had a common suffering together, right from the shifter days, when our people were suffering and the Luos were suffering, because we had suffered together. We always felt a sense of feeling. But the only time there was a logical reason for me to support Raila Odinga or Odinga or Lua for the presidency was when Jaramogi was alive. After that, I've been stabbed 1,000,000 times in the back. Listen to me carefully. And I'll give you a simple example. I ran for the Speaker of the Senate in 2013. And I lost by 1 vote. I even got people from the Jubilee side. I'll mention names to you. From the mountain region, some of them, who said, to be able to get this Senate to be on the right footing, I think we need that experience hand of father. So they looked at the nation and they looked at the institution more than anything else. I lost 5 ODM members. And I knew I was going to lose those 5 ODM members. And I went to the party leader and I told him, listen, talk to them, whip them, give them, this is going to be, it's going to be at least something you have got out of this thing. And I never got that. I never got from the party leader because the person who was on that vengeance that time, because of an issue that came in as a result of my own responsibility as a speaker on the chair when the drugs issue was being discussed, and members of parliament were named, and I gave it a powerful leeway, and even gave statements later on that the accounts should be frozen. So somebody took that grudge. And my own party leader could not whip the party in a single direction or a format to say, we have to win this seat, you are going to be dressed down and you must support this guy. No. He allowed them to go out there and vote for the other side. So I kept wondering myself throughout, and I keep saying, what is Raila Odinga looking for in this contest? Is he looking to become a president, or is he looking for something else? So the impression you get is that is either money or other resources or other things. Nobody is looking for this thing because you build a power. Look at what Ruto is doing.
So this is a money-making machine for
us. For all these years, the leadership has betrayed us, and it was just there for money-making machine. We lost. Just a moment. Let me explain. We lost with 65,000 votes only. If we had a 65,000 votes more, we'd have gone for the second round. Why did we lose? We didn't pay our agents. We said they had the same problem in 2017. We had the same problem in 2013. We had the same problem in 2007. Why? Which means somebody who has the money is not paying the money. So are you going for the money for this race, or you really want to become a president in this country? So my position is, I don't blame them at all. And I'll tell you one thing. My good friend, Kalonzo Musyoka, one of the most honest men I've seen in politics, who has honestly sacrificed all these times, now believes that that mantle will be handed over to him by none other than Raila. I don't think it will ever be handed over to him. Because if the original objective has very little to do with an ideological persuasion and resources and the rest of it, He doesn't have the money to buy anybody himself.
So the good thing for him is to break away right
now. The good thing for him is to make up his mind for the future, because he has been betrayed many times. He was supposed to be given an opportunity to run for the presidency in 2007. He was betrayed. 2013, he was betrayed. You know what I mean? He actually jumped ship and went on ODMK because he was betrayed in 2007. 13, he was given, he swallowed his pride. He came back into the race with understanding 2017, win or lose, I'm going to be there. And then later on, he was told, look, the alliance is bigger now. It's called NASA now. And Mudavid has come on board. So this time you're going to win. So sacrifice again. He sacrificed again. And then finally again, the state machinery is with us. We sacrificed again. but let me just, and he will always be sacrificing. Now let me tell you one thing that tells you that we have not been in this business to win the presidency. As a prime minister, my brother, when we were in the 10th parliament, you know what the deep state is? The deep state is the director of intelligence, the governor of central bank, the head of KRA, the chief of defense forces, the head of civil service. You get my point? And these are the deep states. You get my point? None of them, including the commissioner of police, in each case, all of them came from the mountain region. He had the powers to veto that and say, no, it has to show the face of Kenya. My belief.
So you let it fly under his watch?
You let it fly.
Okay.
And must be for a consideration. You know what I mean?
For a consideration.
I'll come.
And then we complain that our votes have been stolen. You approved all that. All that when Gichangi was being given the contract extension, Karangi, Kimemia, governor of central bank that time, the boss of the boss of what you call KRA, director of CID, Yote from one area you're contesting against them, and the presidency is supposed to be between him and Uhuru, and you allow all that to go. How do you expect to? How can you eat your cake and have it at the same time?
For a consideration.
I thought so.
For a consideration. Nikal, we'll come to you. Let me just hear, because also we had Isaac Mwaura from the other side before he crossed over to Jubilee, crossed over now to Kenya Kwanza. There have been loops and loops and loops.
We couldn't even stomach the element of having Wetangula retained there.
Who?
As Wetangula was
Wetangula
was the leader of minority in the Senate. And we took that from him and gave it to Orengo.
Now I think, Dabal, the whole issue of opposition, first...
Just because of a couple of 100,000 shillings allowance he gets
on a monthly basis.
And they want to maintain that.
But we don't have any confirmable facts in that regard as well. That's fine.
It's a presumption.
We'll come to that.
It's a presumption.
If I can make my contribution, people are not used to having a position, at least for the last 5 years. And also, we have set very good precedents of consociationalism. If you go back to 2007, the National Accord, and then there was still some kind of handshake in 2013 that was brokered by Reverend Jesse Jackson, if you remember. And then now we have the 2017 handshake, the real handshake, and then now when President Ruto said he does not welcome people of Azimio into government, we have to go back into opposition proper. And some things are very interesting. I want to prefer that today, when Kalonzo is speaking, he has more traction, in a way.
Big one.
He's being listened to more. So the level of believability of Raila Odinga has actually gone down because he did not succeed in his fifth term, particularly because those concessions that Farah is saying about him allowing the president to make appointments from a certain region was under the understanding that he would control those apparatus of state to benefit him to win the election. So if anybody would have done so, if these are your people, then they'll guarantee my win. It did not happen because really, deep state is a mirage, really, because in my humble submission, deep state is basically employees trying to imagine that they can influence the people to determine who is their employer. That cannot happen. Because by the end of the day, people can determine what they want to do for themselves, and they did so. This election was so close, like the one that was that happened in 2007. But we thank God there was no bloodshed, there was no negotiation, whatever. Because Kenya is also maturing. Kenya is not where it was before. And people can see, now people are more open, the election was more transparent and whatever. But I must contend the fact that having been in opposition, and having been in government is an illusion, really. It's a feeling. Sometimes when you are in this government position as an MP, what exactly do you benefit? If people are very atavistic and very, they are scavenging. Even if they came last minute, they will scavenge more than those who are there before. So there is no real ideological underpinning, because it's about the people join to win power based on where you come from. You cannot win a seat in Mount Kenya region in ODM, and that has informed my movie. You cannot win a seat in Luo Nyanza in Jubilee, I mean, even when it was under Azimio. So people make pragmatic positions. And the Bible, we must remember, people go to power to actually get something for themselves and the people that they represent. However, that ideological underpinning is getting lost because of our politics of patronage, you know. They are very much founder syndrome or what have you. Now that Raila Odinga seems to be on his way out, I want to imagine, because he's the 78, I don't know that he will run at the age of 83. You are seeing even resignations of key officials of ODM. Florence Mutua resigned the other day. I saw Afula Buka has called it quits. I saw Janet Ongera, the first ED of the party. You can name them. It is understandable, because somehow something has to move. But I admire the fact that Obiyo Wandayi and Junet Mohammed are trying to really, put up a brave face and provide the opposition that is supposed to be. And people need to understand that opposition also speaks for many people. It makes the government to be kept in toes. And that in itself is a very serious contribution. Kenya has not made progress simply because people have been in government. Kenya has made progress because there have been people in opposition, and also the voice of the civil society, which seems to have died. Now, you cannot, therefore, going forward, accuse Kenya Kwanza of wanting to have an absolute majority, because it is in their interest to consolidate power in parliament. So anybody who feels like now they're in the cold and they want to jump ship and come to the other side, of course they will be up for grabs by Kenya Kwanza. Because even if it was you, the ball in that position, that is what you do to consolidate the power, so that you make sure that you don't have problems in parliament to pass any legislation. However, what I want to say is that parliament remains to be the single most powerful institution outside of the executive in this constitution, collectively. And parliamentarians, maybe now that I have the benefit of being outside, do not seem to understand. But if you read this constitution, you realize that if parliament was to really exercise its power, it would create a very positive impact in the country. The challenge is that the leadership positions of parliament are populated from the very parties that either form the government or the opposition. And now when you're in the opposition, you do not have the advantage of the carrot and stick. Because what is it that is to be offered apart from those party positions? It's a leader of majority, a leader of minority, deputy, and the few committee oversight chairs of PAC-PIC. Beyond that, there's really nothing. So if somebody wants a road, they feel like they want to go that way, then they will do it. But also, there's a new element that people seem to ignore. We decentralize power so that then we have counties. And it was supposed to be counties are benefiting from the center. But counties are becoming what I call countism, new centers of organization and engagement. So that people now are slowly learning to appreciate that they can negotiate as a county despite their political affiliation. That is why you see people from the opposition wanting now to move to government, because at the county level, they may have a say. For example, you could be elected in ODM, but you come from, say, Nyamira, and you can negotiate with the Nyamira issues to government directly rather than going through the party. Does that strengthen democracy? I don't know. Does that reduce ethnicity? In a way, yes, because I will be feeling more as a Kiambuian than a Nyandarrian with Wanjiku Moya here, because I know I will benefit as a Kiambuian when things are being shared. So there is also that element that people do not seem to understand that is now playing, that now people may not negotiate as a tribe per se, that you may have more say to help whoever wants to make more inroads in where you come from by showing that you have the support. And indeed you have, because you will have shown that you are the one who won despite the political party.
Thank you.
And that also creates some kind of disgruntlement on certain other quarters, because you have to have something to give to the others. But eventually, what I want to say, Debal, every 6 months after elections, coalitions crumble. And the easiest to crumble are the ones in the opposition, because there's nothing to look forward to. Remember, the Azimio, which I aptly named La Kuzimia, the agreement the time has ended. The 3 months are over. So what is holding Akina Kioni back? You can't tell them that their chairman of Azimio will be the next prime minister under BBI. It's gone now. So they also have to remember that if I was to go back to Ndaragwa and be elected, I have to be politically correct.
Right.
And of course, remember Jubilee particularly. Jubilee is really a scion of UDA because we were one. It's just that people decided to follow the party leader and others followed the deputy party leader, the ones who are seated here with Wanjiku Muhia and I. So they would want to find some warmth.
So they'll be at home.
Very easily so.
They
Very
come from
easily
the same
so.
cloth.
Is that good for the democracy?
Yeah.
That is the question at large.
So left to the call will be Wiper and ODM as it is
Well,
to Shiva. But what is the future of ODM given this particular scenario that we have right now? Indication also from Kisii, we have the former governor, James Ongwae, now also bolted from ODM as it is. We've seen the frustration also with the Parliamentary Service Commission on how Mogeni was treated as well. This has really raised, and dropped some scales from the eyes of the Kisii community. Even as we try to uncouple ourselves from ethnicity, it really plays out at the end of the day. And this should be a bellwether. If James Ongwae is bolting, what does it really tell the community within the Kisii region? They brought you numbers, huge numbers, so to speak, and then they were actually slighted and mistreated, especially on this particular. And I think what we're talking about is when you look at the East African community itself, they would expect people who sacrificed, Jeremiah Kioni, Kanini Kega, and the likes, you will have the discretion, you as Azimio, of giving them a soft landing, a pad within Iyala. But what we see is people who are being fronted. They have not been in the trenches. Though they will say that also within Azimio, they did the work and people shortchanged Raila Odinga.
Okay, let me ask. What you should be asking is not the future of ODM. You should be asking what is the future of democracy.
No. Let's not be abstract to democracy.
No. Let me tell you. Debal.
No, I don't want to be abstract to democracy.
Debal.
Because now,
I'm coming to answer you. But let me give you the background. If we do not have an ideological foundation, we fall back on just one thing: ethnicity. So when you say what is the future of ODM, what you are really implying is that other groups are running away. Now, then, Honorable Farah asked, it started on a very fundamental issue, that in leadership, you must be ready to make sacrifices. Yes. Sacrifices is not when you win. Sacrifice comes when you lose. Yes. That is when now you know why you sacrificing for an idea. But if you lose, and now there are no goodies to be spread, then you leave. You are not ideologically. And I've said this in this forum before. We must find a way where our politics is based on ideology. Just like you go to the developed countries. No, please, if you give me time.
Until the one who just said that this is all about interest.
I kept quiet.
Okay. Like I have been.
I kept quiet. Now, when my time has come.
No, I'm just trying to remind you what you said earlier, so that I don't seem like a double speak.
Now, when you look at, I've said it before, when you look at, say, in the US, the Republicans and the Conservatives, really, this you see there's what they stand for. The Conservatives stand for, and I mean the US is the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats stand for social welfare, taxes that are spread. The Republicans believe that you work hard, get your things, reduce taxes on government, now you go to Britain, for example. This is where all these things came from, and you find that the Conservatives are exactly like the Republicans, and the Labour people are exactly like the Democrats. The Democrats. Now we don't have that here, because you are talking of sharing resources of all the people. We then come to sharing resources within ethnic groups, so that when I'm in a position, I'm seeing as, let me put it, eating for my group, because I'm not sure they get it there. So that when now Azimio didn't get into power, then the little that is there, people are scrambling for. Sure, people like Jeremiah Kioni sacrificed. Sabina Chege sacrificed. Kega sacrificed. Even if you go, even some of the governors. But that sacrifice It's really what comes when you want to actually unite a country. Some people will suffer. It's not, whatever little was there, I think Sabina at least was nominated, Kanini got Yala. If I would, and what comes, Jeremiah Kioni deserves. But when you are not in power, you have much less to distribute.
And therefore people move.
But
now the other thing is,
was nominated by Jubilee itself, not Azimio.
You can't split Jubilee from Azimio. So now, when at this point, now there's the issue of blaming the victim. Farah said, what is Raila fighting for? With all due respect, you haven't known Raila. I'm really surprised.
I've known him all my life.
No, and
much longer than you ever will be.
If you can be close to somebody, you can be close to somebody, but you don't know him, because if you say what he was fighting for, presidency, Raila has always been fighting for actually good governance and change. It is in history. Even when we started at multipartyism, he was there. When we came to the devolution, he was there. When we came into the crisis in 2007, he actually came down and agreed, and we had peace. When we came to 2017, he came for the handshake and we had peace. We must give a person due. And I have been with him when he has asked. The handshake came. Some of us asked, will this give you the presidency? And he said, I'm saying, he may be watching me, said, do you think we are only this to be a president? If Kenya is run well, we have no corruption, governance is working well, we have no ethnicity, and Kenyans are getting their services. Do I have to be president? When Afara, he told me that, I can tell you where. He told us that, he can tell you where.
And why does he make
so now, if those have come, really, some people make contributions, and it is not the presidency that's the ultimate. Gandhi was never the president of
Prime Minister.
There was never the Prime Minister of India. But he still remembered for the contributions. So again, if our target is you must then get the ultimate post, and if you don't get that, you must do anything. The details of the elections and so on, the parties, I don't have the details he has, so I don't want to go into that. But again, blaming the victim. Now, just wait. If we say that he was there when these people in the state, the so-called the state, and you said these are Amiraji, who are being appointed, and he didn't do anything, the implication that what he should have done was to ensure that these people are appointed, the people who will ensure that he gets to the presidency. Is that how we have to use the state apparatus?
No, face of Kenya.
But isn't that how the state apparatus is being used?
Against him.
Maybe that's the question we should ask ourselves.
Yeah, but if
let him finish.
The way things are being used, if they are wrong, cannot justify whether that is what they should be used for. There must be people who come and say, no, we are doing this thing, but it is not how we should do it.
All right.
So let me come to Wetangula issue, because this, again, I'm talking today freely and openly here. Yes. I was in his office when this matter was going on in the Senate.
Yes.
And I remember calling one of the people there and said, I don't think we should go that direction. It was actually lunchtime. I don't think we should go that direction. Wetangula should be there. I mean, after that, actually, we left, and I knew he wasn't happy with it. But it went there. But the assumption now is that he actually sanctioned it. I know. And when we talk about the issue...
Why wouldn't he have made the same call that you did?
Like?
The way you did, made.
If you call,
I said
he's the one who made a call.
You are making him to look very powerless and very not control of his
when it's
party.
Convenient,
No, but you see, if you're a Democrat and the democratic process is going on. You want to make a phone call to change the democratic process?
Guided democracy.
Okay. I'm finishing. We are coming to the issues that were raised about the issue of Kalonzo. There's another thing that we must realize in politics, and even before I've noticed the desire to have very early in a coalition identify your lead person in the future is very dangerous, because it is often used to actually, that guy gets marked and is actually acted upon, everything goes wrong with him. 2002, I wasn't in politics, but something happened, I don't know how it happened, but actually I look back. The opposition was strong. We were going to election, and I think until around October, we did not know who the leader is. Until I think in one of the hotels, the people surrounded the place where there was a meeting and said, today tell us the leader. So lastly, it became Kibaki Tosha. One of my views is that had Kibaki been identified, say, 1 year earlier, I have a very strong feeling he would never become the president. So again, when you put the presidency as the thing that is uniting an opposition, that opposition loses direction. My view is, it may be naive, what we should do now as Azimio is consolidate ourselves, check the government, make ourselves ready, that if this government doesn't do well, then we are ready to replace it. You cannot replace it by joining it.
You can.
All right.
You cannot replace it by joining it.
Thank you, Dr. Ika.
So that is my position, and I think
let me hear from Wanjiko.
To have a word at least in this debate, but by mere looking at how Honorable Nyikal is really expressing, you can see that he's really trying to convince us something that is really not there. But
I'm expressing myself.
You see,
that's how he's expressing himself passionately.
But even if he's passionate, you can see how he's trying to say Kalonzo and all that thing. Anyway,
no, I don't think you got the message.
I got it very right. I got it very right. But I got it very right. But many things he have said are not correct. How can Azimio keep its members disgruntled while they are not giving them chances? This Azimio already removed a lady, in fact, a lady, Honorable Fatuma Dulo, from the commission. Yeah. And she was from Jubilee. Honorable Sabina, Honorable Sarah expressed this on broad daylight.
But we need to interrogate the Fatuma Dulo. No, just a moment. They had a reason why Fatuma Dulo, because Fatuma Dulo appointed herself.
They have.
They had grounds to actually remove Fatuma Dulo.
The point is, what is the discussion?
And she was in 4 other committees, wasn't she?
What is the discussion here? Why is Azimio zimiering? They are zimiering because they are not able to hold their members together. Because you can still remove someone and someone walk out quietly. It's possible. I can tell you for a fact, I wanted a certain committee, but I was given the chair of regional integration, and I'm happy about it because I was explained to why I should hold that position. So what Azimio is doing, in the first place, let's say that the former president was whipping all these parties, including his own party Jubilee, after many of us left him to join Azimio with the hope that they would make the government. So in my view, there was no ideology connection. There was nothing bringing this Azimio together other than the presidency. And because they were thinking they have state machinery, the deep state, that mirage, they thought they were going to take the government. In fact, Honorable Kioni, who is my neighbor, shouldn't really cry, even though he have lost the Iala, because he was one of those thinking that they are going to make. They are going to have the presidency through the state machinery instead of the democratic way and will of people. In my view, Azimio is normal. They should just concentrate with ODM, because even the few parties that will remain there is a matter of months. But either way, it is not our work as Kenya Kwanza to see Azimio prevailing or doing very well. It is our work. It is our work as Kenya Kwanza to do the work that we have been given by the Kenyans. And if we could find as many people join Kenya Kwanza to help us do the work, because the work is a lot, fair enough.
But wouldn't the president also be speaking from both sides of the mouth that you want a strong opposition? And, you know, also his political operatives there on the sides really trying to make sure that the coalition itself that is supposed to be checking the presidency is, you know, becoming a threadbare sort of a coalition, nothing really to hold it at the end of the day. If going by what we have here on the headline is what he's trying to consolidate at the end of the day, looking at the Daily Nation, then what does the plot that he's to take a full control of parliament, what sort of a presidency are we looking at?
Anyone, including me and you and every other member here, of course would want a strong opposition. But it is not the work of the government to manage the opposition.
To strengthen.
It is not the work of the government to strengthen opposition.
Let's hear from Farah.
Can I explain?
And a good president, if people are coming to our party, you cannot tell them to go away.
Can I tell you, Dibal, about this one? What basically he means when he says that he wants a strong opposition, he's saying that there's no Musumkate government. Don't think that I'll accommodate you as the mainstream opposition out there into my government. And that's basically what it is. And that is also born out of the fact that, you see, we have perfected the art of losing an election today, and tomorrow we start, you know, mobilizing the people and the nation to oppose that government. So basically what he's saying is that, sorry, we're not going to negotiate anything because of any pressures. But if you can have, a strong opposition can be about 5 of us or 10 of us. And count me that strong opposition, by the way. What I'm saying right now, I'm the only person in parliament today who has been in opposition from day one until today. I don't know if you know that.
Me too.
I have been in opposition.
Me too.
For the longest. Raila had joined with Kanu. You get my point? My friend Kalonzo was from Kanu before. Everybody has been in one or the other. Even when they joined, even when they said Kibaki Tosha, I went with Nyachai myself. I don't know if you remember that time.
It was Nyachai who was shortchanged.
We were shortchanged. Up to the last minute. We were actually financing, and we were financing the thing in the Uhuru Park. And the understanding was that, and Nyachai was very comfortable, so he gave out a lot. Only there and then to say Sikibaka and Mramju and Sanatosha and Metosha, and then Nyachai suddenly doesn't know what has hit him. You know what I mean?
So that is halal. Halal friend.
That is exactly what I was saying.
Okay, let him finish.
That if you are appointed,
let him finish.
If you are appointed early, that you are going to be the flag bearer.
No.
Chances are you not be.
No. You can't let me tell you. We were in 10 o'clock. We were announcing the coalition of Kenya People Coalition and LDP and the Rainbow Coalition. 10 o'clock we announced that. And 1 o'clock my brother said, Kibaki Metosha. 10 o'clock the understanding was that he is the one. Nyachai is the one. You get my point?
Yeah.
2 hours later, I'm told the word Agwambo means the mysterious. You know what I mean? So basically we were seriously taken into that mysteriousness. I mean, this dishonesty. Let me be very honest with you. So let me now explain to you what is the ideological difference between what we stand for in Azimio and what Ruto stands for in Kenya Kwanza. The only ideological difference is that the trust people have in one leader over the other. This is just a competition of leadership. Kibaki did not have a different manifesto from ours.
It's a trust issue.
It's just a trust issue. It's just a trust issue. And you see that this trust issue itself is manifesting itself because people are beginning to come out in their true colors. Why is Miguna fully now in Kwanza, Kenya Kwanza? Because he fought so hard. He was the one who held the book and saw in. But when he was being thrown out of this place, the handshake had already happened, so it was just going to be a nuisance.
But we've not established if he's in Kenya Kwanza. He's not.
I don't know where he is, but wherever he is, he's so bitter with what he feels his sacrifice most for.
Yeah.
Let me tell
he's not really announced, so
he's very bitter with us. He's extremely bitter with us. Let me now explain to you one thing. I happen to have been in the 7th Parliament when this country almost collapsed. And I was one of those people who really talked very hard on how we can get our act together and save our country. Kofi Annan used to talk to me on a daily basis, because both me and Marende, because the parliament was the only institution that time that was there in place. Government had already not been formed, only partially formed, and it really. Our understanding was that the accord, the national accord, which was superior to the constitution, indicated that this is power sharing on a 50-50 basis. And what we had said is that Kibaki will choose a cabinet minister, we will choose the next one. He chooses the next one progressively until we exhaust the cabinet, and then we go back again for the permanent secretaries and do the same all through, so that the power sharing is truly 50-50. The next thing we know, our brother has been taken to Sagana. Whatever they discussed with Kibaki, and I don't know whatever was done there, he comes back to us and says, "Hata mkia pia ni nyama." So we only took what you call the leftovers. Let me just finish. Let me just finish.
Yeah.
And true to it, very honestly, and God is my witness. Kofi calls me. So annoyed, ballistic. What have you people done? What is it that you're asking for before? And when he came back, the cabinet included the likes of, which was going to be in waiting that time, was Ruto. Everybody was there. All of us were there, except myself. I opted not to go to the cabinet and go for the deputy speaker. And understanding was, what's this? Whatever it is, he had reached his understanding with Kibaki alone. I think he only went with Mohamed Isake, who was his PS that time, and came back. We're never part of it. So basically, we don't want to get into a situation in politics in which you build a good concept, a good idea, and then when it is just about to create the change that you expect it, the same way that you build a company from scratch, and when the share capital is at the highest and you know that it can't grow anymore, then you sell it off. So we have perfected in this manner of trading off political, fortunes and political, ideological struggles, such that when it reaches that and the government is in a corner and they're willing to negotiate anything, you reach a time with the time for a consideration that matter ends there.
That is
Let me just.
We should be winding up.
That is
I'm
very,
letting
very
Ndoni follow.
profound. What you are saying is very profound.
Right. Let me just give a chance to Nyika.
It means you are disclosing a very profound principle.
Yes.
That you prime something.
Yes.
When everybody wants it, you sell it off for your personal
and then
gain.
at the moment when you are going to get the serious change you wanted, trade it off.
Trade it off.
But
Yes.
let me just.
And that I can indicate.
So you make it very premium.
You make it premium.
Okay.
The same way that you get companies and you build up until the company is a serious performer, but the company cannot grow beyond that, you sell it
You
off.
see,
All right.
you see.
Because the only thing that can happen is that the shares can come down.
I'm pinched for time.
So basically you sell your birthright.
Let me ask.
Basically, that is what we have been subjected to in opposition politics for the longest 30 years. And I'll give you one by one, short by short. I can write a book about it.
Right. Maybe we should wait for that book because we are pinched for time even here.
You see, Honorable
But
Farah
let
says
him not
something.
write the book now.
Honorable Farah says something.
Okay. Just give it. Nyika, 2 minutes, please.
No. Honorable Farah said something very profound. After their meeting, everybody had something except he chose to be the deputy speaker.
Yes.
I don't see their loss there. So that doesn't make. But the basic thing, we must struggle, all of us, through pain and sometimes not having positions. Because when you don't get into government, by whatever route, you don't have as much to share. So people must agree that we will sacrifice here. Mwaura, we worked with you when I was in government. Do you think, in terms of competence, I don't deserve even a chair of a committee?
You do.
Have you ever heard me screaming about it?
Well,
Because I know what we must go for the bigger good of the country. And what I must say in this meeting, Madam, you are here, Mheshimiwa, you are here, we are here. We must start building the country towards ideological differences in parties. He said this, that there is no ideological differences. So people are going for the smaller things, ethnic groups, positions, because there is no big thing we are fighting for. And if we, in leadership, don't fight for that and choose to fight for the small things, the country is lost.
But
that is why we have not created a nation. We have a state which we are fighting to get the goodies of the state and the instruments of the state, so that we will share the resources through it.
Thank you.
I think, Jabal.
Closing remarks? Closing remarks, please.
Taking from what Dr. Nyikakali is saying, yes, you fight for ideology, and that informs the polemic nature of our politics. So the opposition and the government, or the two competing sides before one is declared the winner. But there is what Honorable Farah is saying, because I was part of ODM that time. What people felt in ODM, and it was the biggest political party that time, is that ODM was shortchanged. It
still is one of the biggest.
No, it is not. It's now UDA. ODM was shortchanged by PNU because Raila conceded too much. For example, the position of Minister for Finance was supposed to go to ODM. Then Raila actually told us that Kibaki was there behind the curtain, and he convinced him that he is a real finance minister of the country. So I was part of that. In fact, at some point when there was a lot of disagreement, we were caught very quickly at Serena because they had come from Kilaguni. And at that point, people were shouting that we go back to election and break that coalition. Because people in ODM felt, and so Raila told us, we should accept Iyo Mukia ni Nyama because these are people's ministries. Because they were basically state departments promoted to ministry. So what Farah is saying has some element of truth, actually. So that you go for the jugular, and people can feel it. People can feel like you've really fought hard to the end. But when you backtrack, then people start saying, why are you really going for it? And that is now, let me explain. That is why when we hold a certain ideology, and then you are our leader and you backtrack, we feel we are conned, we feel betrayed. And that's why there has been a mass exodus. That has never been properly explained. People feel like you went there to benefit and then you... No. Because when you make us believe in your cause, and then you don't follow through it when it is critical, what do you expect the people? They become disenfranchised.
But the same people are leaving, they say they are leaving because they didn't get anything. So this is contradictory.
No, but maybe the prime slots, you couldn't get anything. This is Mukia is talking about. Yes, there was something which was doled out, but it's not the prime slots. That
is my point. People are fighting for prime slots, not for the good of the country.
But that ideology can only be implemented through power.
Thoughts, please.
Do those slots. It doesn't let us sit in a vacuum.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac.
On this, or any other?
You want to, but you've commented. I just wanted to get the headline thoughts, unless you have anything that you want to tell us within 30 seconds.
I am confident that Kenya Kwanza is moving in the right direction, and let any Kenyan who wish to join Kenya Kwanza, join the Kenya Kwanza, and we move forward. Opposition will remain ODM. Let ODM do the assertive opposition.
A toothless one, for that matter.
No, it will be actually Azimio or another coalition.
It is no Azimio.
Okay. There'll be another coalition.
The Azimio agreement has come to an end. Is the chairman still present?
Okay, Farah Mali, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Farah Mali, 30 seconds. Let's wind up.
We owe it to Kenyans to share with them everything that has happened in this country for the last 30 years. You see, the presumption that we, the politicians, are custodians of their best interest is thoroughly misplaced. There's always been selfish issues. Remember when I was the chairman of the Baba While You Are Away, movement that time. I'm actually welcoming back, and we welcomed him back here. And we created a movement that essentially brought this country to a standstill. And our position was that there must be a serious negotiation on the way forward. Otherwise,
thank you.
Can I just tell you, we need, there has to be an exceptional Indira Gandhi kind of things, what do you call honesty or Mandela honesty in this country. The political class has taken advantage of Kenyans for the longest.
Thank you.
I think the collapse of the buildings in Kiambu is a clear manifestation of corruption.
Talk about
where people are paying monies to get substandard buildings approved in a substantial manner. It is costing a lot of lives. And also the process is too elongated. I believe Governor Matangi should rein on that, but it's an indictment on our behavior. Because if you pay money to circumvent procedure, eventually it catches up with you. All your investments come down. We must look at the bigger picture.
Thank you.
They don't believe in science. The collapse is that when you go for small benefits, you start to ignore the basics of life. The science is the basics, the foundation of all physical things that we acquire. And when we ignore it, because of these benefits, you see the collapse.
I want to talk about the drought. We cannot move without the drought.
Let's talk about the drought. No, Wanjiko, please, Farah, I've given you your time.
Please, 1 second.
No. We'll talk about next week.
National disaster.
It is. Next week is another time.
I can even say about it.
Talk about it.
Please.
And the meeting we had yesterday in my
office. We
office.
thank God that the rains are there, but we ask the government to continue giving more food, particularly in parts of northeastern. We have seen animals continue to die. But also the government to look at the orphanage, because even the animals are dying, and this is one of our GDP area where the tourists enjoy themselves.
But why is the president setting up a private sector on drought team? We have the national...
It's for medium term and long term. Yesterday, the deputy president was in the remotest area of northeastern province.
We need support
to launch support and to do the flash, what they call appeal.
Government cannot do it alone. We even need Red Cross.
So we need the private sector, we need the public sector, we need Kenyans also.
And Parliament must appropriate.
All right.
We need a system that identifies the vulnerable.
Precisely.
So we do have this, the talk coming up with it in the People Daily today, and this is what you're talking about, science and the building as well.
And foundation.
Yeah, and foundation of the building. So we have this in the People Daily that has been drawn by Stano, and we can see a conversation there. They're saying, this building is not safe. This is one of course, officials of maybe the agency that oversees this. If we may just pick it up, this building is not safe and should not be demolished. But now that you have given me kitu ya macho, you can continue living in it. And we can see later what really happened. All in the name of greed. Rest in peace. And that's how we've lost our lives. Thank you very much for watching Siasa Fiesta. I think it was a very good conversation there.
Foundation should start in Azimio.
Very nice. These are real.
Justice should be Azimio.
Can I tell you where it starts?
Foundation should start
Go
in
and
Azimio.
go and read the Genesis.